welcome to this week's show. We're in 1978 and in the company of Richard Burton, Roger Moore, Richard Harris and Hardy Kruger for Andrew McLaglen's The Wild Geese, a rip-roaring action-packed war picture set in Africa. So let's start with a look at some of the action here, and the boys are trying to get President Limbani out. Here we see the attack on the sentries. Hardy Kruger is using a crossbow, hardwood quarrels, cyanide tipped, fired bang in there, and this is Clive Curtis doing the high part of the fall. Now you'll note in the top right hand corner is a foot, which means the landing, he starts in the standing position. Bit of camera trickery. There's George Leach on the right hand side with Richard Harris about to break in and try and get President Limbani out, who is being held in there. But gunfire happens here, and the guard who is alarmed there is Clive Curtis. And Clive Curtis is then attacked by stuntman Jazza Jays, who is doubling for Hardy Kruger, and has to deposit him. Lousy shot. It's a lousy shot. Luckily, all of these, you find out a great many of these Simbas, better with swords, lousy shots. And they must get him out. Now, there's a number of little action moments along the way, and this is one of the major ones. Roger Moore is at the airport, and with his team, we'll come back to Roger in a moment, he's in position. Now, at the airport, the rest of the troops must get rid of the Simbas that are there waiting. They turn up, and this is where they all are. Led by Jack Watson here, look. Try and reconnoitre the area. Now, in this group here on the left-hand side, you'll see they have a quick peer in to see what they're up against and find a room full of Simbas. The interesting thing here, of course, it's filmed in Britain, and all of these stuntmen in this room, with the exception of one, are all white. Chris Webb, Tim Condren, Rocky Taylor, Jazza Jays, Greg Powell, Clive Curtis, George Cooper, Martin Grace. Clive Curtis, the only black stuntman in the room. There weren't any in 1978. He was the only one. The next stuntman that came along who was black was in 1987. So it was a long time to wait. And so when you have a movie like this, you have absolutely no alternative but to use the men that you have. And that's the situation that you have here. And again, we're only highlighting it for the purpose of saying, look, they're all stuntmen because of the scene that's coming on. And here's the action moment here. There on the left-hand side is Richard Graydon. A grenade is thrown into the room. There's a flashbang, and then everything goes. And they dive in and they finish them off. And it's a big explosion. You know, there's stuff happening about all over the place. You can see if you look closely that Greg here, who's closest to the camera, has padding on. Now, this is the section. Martin Grace there, shot, and over the balcony. There he goes. Now, we'll just check that out in a different angle. He comes along, hits his mark, shot, throws the gun away, and has to get over that balcony by jumping and flipping and then landing in the boxes below. So now let's join Greg Powell and Rocky Taylor, seen here driving Richard Burton, and Richard Harris on location as they tell us all about their time filming The Wild Geese.
People will ask me, what film did I really like working on? And that always comes to mind is The Wild Geese. I mean, I've worked with a lot of actors like a lot of other guys, but Richard Burton. Yeah. What a great actor to work with, Yeah. Roger Moore, who I'd known since a kid because the dad used to work on The Saints. Richard Harris, of course, who I worked again with on Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Hardy Kruger, Jack Watson, and I've become very friendly with Andrew McLaglen, who was the director of that film. It was just a great atmosphere on that film because we was out in the Northern Transvaal in Africa, so everyone was on location. Everyone was at the same resort. So when you went out in the evening, you all went to the same bar, you went to the same restaurant, and you actually mixed together. And we was there for, I think it was like 9 weeks out there, and everyone on their days off used to spend around the pool, or it was a great spa back then. So it was just, you'd be sitting there talking to Richard Burton on the day off. On one particular, Richard Harris, Rocky, myself, I think it may have been Chris Chattel, was sitting in the bar, late one, everyone had gone to bed, and Richard Harris ordered 24 Irish coffees. And we sort of looked around, who's that for? It went us. And we carried on drinking Irish coffees that night. But that was the sort of job, we used to, they used to have these villas on top of the wheel. We used to walk back with them, or that when you could hear Richard Harris coming from like 100 yards away, because he bought these walking sticks, which would suddenly become snake sticks.
Oh, right.
And he'd be walking down from his villa up in the woods, smashing trees about just to get rid of snakes, but they wouldn't touch you anyway. But if you disturb them, they're going to go for it. And he must have disturbed loads of them, because there was a 4-foot path to his villa. By the time we finished that film, it was like 15 foot wide to pieces.
Bob said, do you want to come away on the Wild Geese, Rocky? I went, Wild Geese? What's that film? I went, I'd love to. And he got us all together. There was about 10 of us, if I remember. And the greatest thing is that when Richard Harris came in, we all kept talking and saying, Roger came in, hello Roger, how are you? And all the stars came in. And when Burton came in, and he looked spectacular in his white shorts and white jumper, suntan, and we all looked up, and there he was, and the whole of the restaurant all put their knives and forks down and stopped eating. It all went quiet. Before all the stuff, we all got there, and all the stuntmen were called by Bob Simmons to come and sit down in the courtyard, and we were introduced to all the actors, all the stars.
Yep.
And I'm sitting down cross-legged, like on the floor, all the stuntmen there, and all of a sudden I remember Burton coming up and going, I want to speak to Rocky Taylor. And I went, I put my hand up. I said, that's me, sir. Hello, sir, that's me. He said, Rocky, yes. He said, know your father very, very well. Just want to say hello and welcome. That was nice.
I know there's a scene in the picture where obviously you're driving one of the trucks with Richard Harris, and there is also a scene where you die or you get shot at Richard Burton's feet.
That's right. I get shot by that was out in the bush.
Yes,
I'm sitting there like that, and bang, I get shot. It looked very vicious. But
it did, and of course Burton does a bit of a double take and then runs off because he's realised he's in the line of fire. I guess
he's in the line of fire. That's right. He looked at me and pushed me away, and I dropped down dead.
So the bridge sequence, there's that big fire sequence on there. Were you involved in that?
The big fire sequence on the fire sequence. Greg Powell was driving the truck for that one.
Yep.
And it all blows up, and we all dive off the bridge into the water, or into boxes, I think it was. Maybe it was water. Right. So about 8 of us all dived off the bridge with a great big explosion, massive explosion.
It was huge. It looked massive. I've seen
it. Was. Well, it was supposed to be an ammunition truck.
Okay. Was it Les Bowie was the action?
Les Bowie, that's right. Yeah, Les. God Almighty. Yeah, he was a wonderful guy. Everybody was frightened of him.
Because he was, I think initially I seem to remember him suggesting that for the actual shot on the bridge where the guys are on fire, that he would use his fire jacket where it had like a ring in the back of it. But I don't think I don't believe that finally happened. It was...
No, not that I can remember.
It was gel, was it?
It was gel, yeah. We used gel.
Okay. And the other thing I wanted to ask you was there's some extraordinary explosions that go on during the course of all of that as well, later on, and of course there's trampoline explosions. Were you involved in those?
I did a couple of trampoline bangs, yes, because they were, you tread on them and they throw you up in the air when the explosion goes. Yeah, they were very, very effective. They were a bit dangerous. If you didn't hit them right, you could break your back, so you had to make sure you hit them right.
But these were trampolines, though. This wasn't a case of... This is long before an air ram or something of that nature.
Oh, yeah, you ran along, jumped on the tram, and as you hit the tram, they blew it.
Right, so it was the special effects guy was timing it.
Special effects was timing us, running along, see us going in the air and then hit the ground. As we hit the ground, we came back up. And as we came back up, that's when he put the bomb in. So it looks like he's blown us from behind.
And those explosions from behind were very effective. Here's Martin Grace trying out a mid-air gymnastic move before hitting the box rig. Well, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week on Wednesday for the podcast and Friday, of course, for our YouTube get-together, where we'll be discussing the horror classic from 1976 that is The Omen. So until then, bye for now.